Hello everyone and welcome to Totem, short for Tales of the Motherland. We are excited to share some African folk tales with you and your families in an effort to keep these stories alive and have the younger generation learn the stories their ancestors listened to when they were their age. It is our sincere hope that even our youngest audience members find something to get excited about on our channel. That is why we decided to include these age-old folk tales. As always, thank you for your support and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories. Let's begin. Anansi's accidental gift to the world. Once upon a time, in Western Africa, before telephones and smartphones, before telegrams and Instagram, before cars and before planes, even before boats and trains, before moats and before soaps, long before all of those, were humans and a tricky spider called Anansi. Anansi was no ordinary spider. Oh no. He was no tarantula and no daddy long legs. He was no rain spider, and certainly no black widow either. He was no sack spider, no house spider, no camel spider, and definitely no golden silk spider either. Anansi was no baboon spider and no giant crab spider at all. Oh no. Anansi was none of those. Can you guess what type of spider Anansi was? Yes, Anansi was a storytelling spider, and a tricky one, I must add. With the head of a human and the body of a spider, many were confused about his looks. But don't be fooled by his human appearance, because he tricked humans too. In fact, humans were among his favorite people to trick, just like that time where he decided to keep all the wisdom of the world for himself. Anansi's father, 𝐤𝐤𝐤, had previously given him an amazing gift. He had given him the wisdom of the world. Yes, all the wisdom available to the world was combined and kept safe in one place back in those days, and under the supervision of, you guessed it, Anansi. Remember the box Anansi had worked hard to receive from his father? Yes, that box contained all the stories of the world and the wisdom that came with them. Anansi was now the sole guardian of that wisdom. Anansi's father was very generous and not tricky at all like his son. In fact, he specifically instructed Anansi to share that wisdom with the rest of the world and not keep it to himself, because when most people are wise, it calls for a better society. He carefully placed the stories into Anansi's care and said, "Son, this might be the most precious gift I have ever given you. Make sure to use it wisely and make sure to share it with the world." But Anansi, seeing how valuable the gift was, decided to keep it for himself. Not because he did not like humans, which he actually did because they were very easy to trick, but because he was afraid that sharing wisdom would mean less wisdom for himself. Plus, humans would probably forget to use it when needed anyway. He remembered what they had done with the gift of love, not using it as often as they should. No, Anansi thought, this, the gift of wisdom, he had to keep it from them. So he put all the wisdom of the world in one big pot and decided to hide the pot far away from everybody. He was very preoccupied by this whole situation, pacing back and forth in his house. Finally, he decided that he would hide the pot on top of a very tall tree far away, in a place only he would know. It was the tallest tree in the land, and nobody but him could climb to the top. So on he went, walking and crawling and walking and crawling and walking and crawling, until he reached the most remote place in the land, right by the ocean. What he did not know was that his son, Tikuma, had followed him and was very curious to know what his father was up to. So he followed him, walking and crawling and walking and crawling and walking and crawling, just like his dad. Once Anansi reached the very tall tree, he made a rope with his web, tied it to the top of the tree, and while holding the pot with two of his arms, he began to climb the tree. However, climbing such a tall tree while holding a pot containing all the wisdom of the world was no easy feat. He kept falling after every 2 or 3 yards. And with each fall, he could see that the pot was about to spill. This was a lot harder than he had thought. Seeing his father's numerous attempts to climb the tree, Tikuma finally came out of hiding and said, "Dad, I'm sorry I followed you, but I see that you are having a hard time climbing that tree with the pot in your arms. Why don't you tie it to your head and climb?" Anansi was very surprised that his son had followed him the whole time and was a bit annoyed by that. He had to admit that the kid was not wrong though. It would be much easier for him to climb this tall tree with all his legs rather than just 6 of them. So he did as Tikuma suggested. He tied the pot on his head and started climbing. He climbed and climbed and climbed and climbed and climbed and climbed all the way to the top of the tallest tree in the land. Once on top, he was very pleased. He was so overcome with joy that he started singing and dancing. He was very proud of what he had accomplished. He did not realize that putting the pot on his head and climbing up that way had made all the wisdom spill down into the river below the tree. He looked inside the pot, and there was no more wisdom in it. Not the wisdom of greater years, nor the wisdom of time, or the wisdom of the ancestors, or the wisdom of the elephants. Even the wisdom teeth were all gone. He had spilled everything. Oh no, Tikuma thought. His father would be furiously mad at him. To his surprise, Anansi was actually too happy to be mad. Also, he noticed that his son had showed a lot of wisdom by suggesting to him to put the pot on his head. That's when he realized that it was good for wisdom to be shared after all. That way, people could help each other with it, rather than having just one person have all the wisdom in the world. Anansi crawled down to join his son, and together they happily watched the wisdom that fell in the river make its way to all the different parts of the world through the ocean. And that, folks, is how wisdom spread to all corners of the world and is now available to all the inhabitants of the planet. The end.